first horror movie I ever saw was fucking great.
Hello and welcome to This May Hurt a Bit. My name is James Strayer and this is
John C. Myers.
And we're a horror franchise podcast discussing each film, popular and not so popular franchises. And today we are discussing Texas Chainsaw from 2013. But most importantly, we have a returning guest. He is the co-host of the podcast Green Shirts and the owner of Made in Milwaukee and Shirt Nerdery. Welcome back, Rob Campbell. Hi, Rob.
Hey, everybody. It's weird. I have been binging recent episodes, and I listen to you at 1.5 speed because I just do that with all podcasts, so I can get as many podcasts into my brain. And It's kind of weird hearing you live and in person. It's just speaking so slowly. But it was a pleasure.
You want me to pick it up like this? You want me to pick it up just for you?
Just go ahead.
Go a lot faster.
Right.
Yeah. Let's make this podcast end 15 minutes.
I got places to be.
Let's just get done with the things that we like to do faster.
I already have a tangent. Tangents are kind of my thing.
Please do.
I do want to thank you for having me back. I want to know who you think your bigger get for your podcast. Is it there's Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, or is it me? On one hand, Patton and Bloom have their successful careers, but I've appeared as a Russian food cart owner in the Disney Plus feature film Timmy Failure.
Okay. Neither of them have.
Directed by Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy directed Station Agent and Spotlight. And
yes.
And I was featured alongside John Waters and Gus Van Sant and Bill Hader in the James Westby documentary At the Video Store.
I remember that documentary. That 20 years ago?
Not that. But I also
just cut him off as the knees. He's trying to say nice things about himself.
I was also directed by influential music video director Mark Romanek in an Uber commercial once.
Okay.
Oh, that was a Mark Romanek? He directed that? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he was in the trunk of basically in the back of the car. It's like huddled.
Did they know he was there?
He directed band. It makes me 3 degrees. It makes me 3 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
Oh, nice.
He directed Michael Jackson's Scream video, and Michael Jackson was in Moonwalker with Joe Pesci, and Joe Pesci was in JFK with Kevin Bacon. I think there's also actually just one direct movie with Kevin Bacon and Michael Jackson, but it's not as funny.
And then are you in a Slater Kinney video as well?
Slater Kinney's side band. Two of the people from Slater Kinney were in Wild Flag.
Oh, yes.
I wear a bear costume, and you see one shot where I take the bear head off me.
Were you also in Portlandia?
One Portlandia where they trim my beard. Mitch Hurwitz trims my beard to give to make baby toys out of, so the babies can get used to germs.
Okay.
And the other, me and comedian Adam Passy are both in that scene. So, I
think you're the bigger get. I think so.
I was going to say Patton, Pshaw,
Patton Hooswald,
Patton Schmatten,
right? Well, I mean, obviously, we didn't talk a lick about 3D with Patton and Jordan.
Right,
so
that's true.
This is the niche that you've carved out. So I would say that this would probably be the bigger get. It's a third dimensional get. If you get
there's a whole extra dimension of getting that we're having here.
My second tangent is 3D. So as your loyal listeners go, and do you call them Hurties or just the Hurt?
The collective hurt.
The collective hurt, yeah. Like
right. The Hurt collective.
The injured.
So as the Hurt may know, my first appearance on this podcast was Saw 3D.
Right.
And then my other appearance on John's fake podcast, I discussed Step Up 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
On John's, the other thing. We don't discuss it.
But we don't?
I thought you weren't allowed to talk about it on this podcast.
No, Alex is just not allowed to come on here, even though he has.
Just only when we, royally decree it,
right,
after a while.
He's not allowed to just wander in.
So after that 3D, Step Up 3D episode and the Saw 3D, I really did want to pigeonhole myself as the 3D guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now, I went above and beyond. I went out, I got myself a 3D TV from OfferUp, and I got a 3D Blu-ray player on eBay, and I bought me a 3D DVD Blu-ray of this movie on Amazon for $10.
Nice.
Okay, so let me just stop you right there. I don't think any of our other guests have done that much work, especially for a Texas Chainsaw 3D. So yes, I think you have ascended into the third dimension.
Yeah, no one has cared to be here, so this is a big deal.
I do have an itemized invoice at the end of this episode. That
okay, yeah, you can send that to Jim.
I was going to say, I guess that's the realm of the producer, but you probably just go ahead and send it to John.
I'm prorating the TV and the DVD player for the amount of hours I'm planning on watching it. So like you only have to pay for this 2-hour chunk.
Oh, good.
Got it.
But the rest we'll figure out.
But we can also make that an investment into future appearances, or future horror franchise 3D films.
There are several franchise 3D. So yeah, we'll have to kind of get into that later and look at what's available.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody else simps for 3D like I do. Like who else gives a shit about 3D? Like nobody.
Yeah. Occasionally.
Just a little guy named James Cameron.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Me and James, me and Jimmy. Mm-hmm. As we discussed last episode, my childhood vacations were shot on Viewmaster camera, like the 2 lens. So I have like Viewmaster reels of my childhood. My folks had a stereoscope, one of those little like goggles with like 2 pictures that you put in front. Like they used to I was an early adopter on the Nintendo 3DS.
Oh my God. I do remember that. Yeah.
I just like 3D. I think it's a cool gimmick. I don't know. I'm not going to defend it to the haters. Who just think it's a gimmick that's not worth it, but I think it's kind of cool.
Do you think?
Actually, I think may have improved this movie a little bit.
That's what I was going to add. Do you like how it was done in this movie?
Well, you know what? While we discuss the plot, I will shout out like red shorts in 3D. I'll shout out the different things that really popped. I think it kind of lost its 3D-ness. I think they did use it really well, in especially throughout the beginning. Maybe either I lost my mojo later on, or it maybe kind of was less interested in it the second half, but we'll go through that.
Well, you're not getting paid for the second half then.
Yeah.
The analysis.
Your appearance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure.
Has there been a movie in the theaters recently that you've liked the 3D?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, no.
So you like as used in horror films,
right? Nobody will go. I mean, I saw Avatar. But I saw some terrible 3D movie when my son was young. God, I can't even, Angry Birds or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't a 3D one. Something like that. It hasn't been done well in a long time.
Right. I mean, let's not glide past that. You got a 3D DVD of this.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They do still have them, and I could probably go get a whole bunch of them from pawn shop. But these are the TV where you have to like charge glasses. You have to like turn on.
Yeah, because it has like these shutters in there that go.
Right.
It's not just anaglyph.
Right. It's pretty weird. I mean, like charging up your glasses. And then also if I looked away and then looked back, a lot of times the 3D would kick back on. It's like it senses some sort of IR, like it turns off the 3D when you're not looking at it. Or if you take your glasses off, it kicks right back in. Like something about if you're in a direct line of sight with the TV, the glasses know that you're looking at it, which is pretty weird.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best use of technology.
John gets to, use words like anaglyph, and I was impressed that there's 3Ds in 3D DVD. And I was thinking about it for a second,
that's good. I didn't put that together. That's good. Yeah. 3D, no, I was forced to edit in 3D when it was, because this was about the time that this was starting to be a thing. And so there was a kind of a push in that direction, and it never really, at least for the level that I work at and the stuff I was working on, it just never really clicked. It was neat to do, but if you did it wrong, man, it would just give me a headache for days.
Yeah. I mean, they all say you have to really shoot it with that in mind for it to be cool. Although, the early scenes in this that are flashbacks to number 1 were pretty awesome. Like, I really liked the low, and not just the low angle shot of the woman's butt in the red shorts. But that shot itself was like, they did a good job. Like the door slamming like that in nice depth is like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, that's an interesting thing that was brought up. I had the opportunity to read a yet to be published article, cleaning up the mess of Texas Chainsaw 3D when redeeming horror and delivering voyeuristic pleasures convergent 3D by Dana Ock. Fascinating article, really good. And part of what we'll get into with this was sort of the movie is that this perhaps was designed in a way, or at least if not directly, like it coincides with trying to sell 3D TVs. And there's a certain amount of like televising this, like making it more like a TV show or something like that with the anti-hero and whatever. And I'm not doing it justice in this description, but that it is just a way to kind of boost up these flagging sales. If we're like, look, people aren't making content for this stuff, and we really got to get this into the homes.
Yeah. And you see history repeat itself with like MetaQuest, like with VR. You're wondering how much longer they're going to throw money at this, or even throw money at AI before, or whatever. It seems like this is the thing they were throwing money at the time, because they can't just sit around and let the things that work. Right. They have to
gotta innovate, man.
Gotta innovate, you know?
Well, it's always wild. Like there's a book, Defining Vision. I'm forgetting the author at the moment, but like it's about the creation of HD TV. And the only reason that we got HD TV is because Motorola wanted more bandwidth for like ambulance radios. And TV networks were like, no, we need all this bandwidth. They're like, well, you have to show us that you're using it. And they, in Japan, they were developing HD TV, which used basically like a bandwidth and a half of like a signal. So they're like, oh, we're doing that, so we need all this extra space. And then it became this rush to make
for
HDTV.
ambulances.
Yeah, instead of like, the public good, they went, no, we need those for us.
Many people have died to bring us this HG or HDTV.
They used bandwidth to kill an elephant. That's how they knew it was.
That's how they knew it was. Yeah.
That's how they knew it worked. Mm-hmm. They used enough bandwidth.
The old Westinghouse method
to make a elephant explode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the scenes from at the beginning, and we'll get to it. We don't have to get to the plot of this movie. We can just talk 3D all day. But I've been listening to your podcast. I hadn't, believe it or not, prior to last week, I had not seen number one before.
Oh, wow.
So we were
congratulations.
Yes,
like,
I hope you enjoyed it.
I was going to ask you what your history with the franchises and all that kind of stuff. So
before last week, I had seen number two.
Okay.
And
that makes sense to me.
Number two and Next Gen. I don't know why those two.
That totally tracks.
Yep.
I totally forgot Next Generation. I didn't remember any of it. I probably was working at a video store at the time at Great American Video and watched it because it was just there. And I was really enamored with part two when I watched it back in the day, because especially the first half, again, that's one that kind of gets a little less interesting. I was most excited to learn that it was the source of the Dog Will Hunt sound from Primus's Jerry Was a Race Car Driver.
There you go.
Last week, I watched the original for the first time, and it was great. It was interesting to me. It has these signature moves in a way that I hadn't watched Phantasm one until your podcast. And so,
man, we were doing the Lord's work, if I may say.
They both share some like weird signature moves that you're just like, that the way they did that, the way the actor performed it, there's just like certain moments in it that are like that really stand out, and that's what I liked about it. But before watching it, my main reference point for Texas Chainsaw was the scene in summer school where they watch it in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Chainsaw is the name of a character in that movie, and he loves special effects, and they watch like the whole end scene in the classroom with.
I have never seen that movie in its entirety. I've just seen like large swaths of it because it was always on TV, like Comedy Central or something, but I've never actually sat down and watched the whole thing.
I've seen that one. I never saw the original Chainsaw Massacre, but I watched a lot of Summer School over and over again.
Did you find it disturbing? Like, did you find it like, I mean, I know it's a little harder to hit that disturbing button
when it's not in 3D
maybe.
In particular.
Well, I think I think it's a mistake actually to watch it in 4K. I think it not being in like 16 millimeter grainy like snuff film, I think was because it was pretty, and I was like enjoying the prettiness. Look at her eye color. Like it was like it sort of took it. It did sort of make it less disturbing for sure to have. I mean, the guy, like the first kill is still disturbing with his twitching and too crisp. It was too crisp. I would recommend.
I kind of get that. Like I revisited Tetsuo the Iron Man not that long ago, and I was so used to watching it on a pirated VHS copy that like its clarity was like, well, this loses something now. Even though it's still a great movie, but I can understand sort of feeling like, oh, this would be better if I wasn't seeing it so well.
Better in a grain, like in a dirty basement grain. I did watch this 3D one. I did have to set up my TV in my dirty basement.
Good.
And I was eating grains.
I do hope we can at some point discuss like continuity and why there isn't any. We can get our red strings out and start to like, who is Leatherface? What is this character? Who is he? Like, do we have any kind of handle on what he's actually like?
Well, there are, as we've discussed, like there are multiple timelines. It's kind of like Link from Zelda.
Good.
Although I think they tried to like coalesce that into one thing, but basically, so right now, like we left the Platinum Dunes timeline. There's the first timeline, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Leatherface, and the Next Generation. That's all in theory.
That is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean,
this is put forward by Bloody Disgusting that this was the
it's nice
timeline.
that it doesn't die and come back to life. That's one unique thing about this franchise.
Yes.
Hero is
There you go.
nice. No,
It's not a Jason type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that about him.
Yeah, he's the only time arguably he has is from 2 to 3. But
Oh yeah, because he gets the grenade
Blows up.
yeah,
in him.
Right.
and gets chainsawed. Right now, we're in a reboot timeline where this is like a legacy sequel, where this is a direct sequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then there'll be the next one following this is a prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's Young Leatherface, and then there's a timeline after this that is just the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre and into another legacy sequel, which was the Netflix one from 2022.
Well, I would like to put this theory instead. Every TCM, Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie entry is actually like a multiverse entry. And I think the next movie should be into the Leatherverse. All the different Leatherfaces from all these different movies are all played by different fellas.
Oh, I thought you were just talking about the Matrix. It's the Leatherverse.
The Leatherverse
takes place at a leather bar.
Yeah.
I want to see all the Leatherfaces in like in a multiverse hub where they're all chainsawing.
Yeah, I mean it does have the feel of sort of a folk horror thing in the sense of like this kind of, there's a basic story, but it gets reworked and retold different ways.
Sure.
Because there's not a lot of there's not a through line for what happens to Leatherface.
But there are recurring tropes, and I made a list of those, like the things that you see in there's like a grab bag is going to have 6 of the following 10 things. A final girl jumping through a window.
Number 1, chainsaw. It's going to have.
Yes. The chainsaw dance. The dance, the chainsaw dance. Somebody wearing leg braces. That's only in 2 of them, I think. Road trips and hitchhikers. The iconic door slam is in almost all of them.
Yep.
The first Leatherface kill being with a hammer seems to be almost all.
That's a regular thing, yeah.
And it's always really sudden. The first kill is always super sudden.
Oh, I was going to say, it's funny because this one is really the first one. So this is like the 7th one in, and they've all, like, a lot of them really try to tie to the first one, either sort of thematically having a dinner scene or these tropes like you're talking about. But this is the first one that went, oh, let's get the old people back and let's use footage from the original one. And so it's kind of wild that like 7 movies in, we're like struggling for authenticity with this. Like, no, we're the genuine deal here.
It's so funny that they recast him every time too. It's so weird that he's only one guy's played him twice, right?
Because they refuse to give Gunnar Hansen money for the main reason for it. But yeah, so far it's only been the Platinum Dunes timeline that Leatherface is the same guy twice.
Yeah, they got Gunnar back for this one. I'm dying to know how much they paid him. Like, or if he was just sort of like, all I've been asking for is SAG minimum. That's it. And he finally got that for a day. And then they kill him off immediately. And
we get like not only him coming back, we got Bill Moseley coming back in a brief role. So he's not Chop Top. He's actually playing the cook or Draymond Sawyer, which is weird because like they kept Drayton. Sorry. Drayton? They took his name from part 2, even though part 2 isn't in here. They still went, oh, that's all right. And Marilyn Burns is back.
Marilyn Burns.
And then as a special guest, not necessarily Chainsaw regular, but we do have a reoccurring revisiting guest for this podcast. Adam Marcus is back. He's one of the writers of this. Adam Marcus was the writer-director of Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. And he is one of the 9 writers on this thing.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there are so many extra Sawyer family members for having... this picks up like 5 seconds after the previous one. And then there's a whole bunch of people. There's a whole posse inside, let alone the posse outside.
For a movie, like I said, that's trying to have this sort of authenticity with the first one, they just immediately throw everything out the window. Because, it opens with like the first, you're seeing clips of the first one underneath the credits. Was that in 3D? Did they put like 3D effects on that?
Yeah. I mean, everything has depth. Again, I want to remind people, this is not like Captain EO where the little fuzzball flies out, comes out of the screen at you. This is just all about depth past the screen.
Well, that's the point. I'm sorry. That's the point I was trying to make earlier about that. One of the points in that Dana Ock piece is that like she talks about how like the first half of the movie is like all depth, and then it becomes coming at you in the second half.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like confused visual language doesn't serve this piece as well as all the other confusing stuff.
It's so funny when you watch 3D movies now and you don't have 3D glasses because who does, but good for me. But where like you see, oh, they threw something at the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, Saw has guts coming at the camera. Oh, look, there's the chainsaw coming towards the camera.
Beautiful.
The first half, yeah, the really effective depth stuff. And it made me want to see like it follows in 3D, you know, where you like have to pay attention to like what's in the background. The one of the jump scares was a little more effective to me because I was looking into a dark hallway towards like a door far away that was, and then, he comes, Leatherface comes out of the shadows.
To me, and I even wrote a couple of notes like this, I was like, when does the 3D stuff start happening? Because watching it 2D, you obviously have no depth whatsoever. And so finally, when, I just always think of the Jason 3D yo-yo trick type of thing. I just like, that's my bar for 3D horror. So until that actually happened, like, the chainsaw gets flung at the camera or whatever, I was like, oh, they're finally doing it. I had no idea that the first half of this movie actually is full of 3D effects.
My first indication of it, and probably one of the only ones until, like you said, like, they were started being more like stuff thrusting at you, is when she goes to visit her adopted parents. And the guy's toe is at the front of the screen. And I just went like, well, I mean, as the creator of WikiFeet, as we've talked about on the show, like I do notice that the kind of thing. I immediately updated David Bourne's entry in that. But it is wild at the beginning, like that it does pick up where the other one ends. And apparently all these other Sawyers heard something was going down and show up.
Right.
What? Like it just doesn't make any sense that like they're like, oh yeah, okay, so this is normal that this is happening. That I'm inside a house where there's like hanging bone skeletons and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. This is normal to me. I don't have any problem with it. Maybe we should let them have Leatherface, I guess. But no, he's family. They really kind of try to put it all just on Leatherface. That like he's the only problem here, and it's like, you deliberately talked about the first movie where that's not the case, and then you're pretending otherwise. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, family is another one of those running themes for sure, and it makes me think, the Fast and Furious family. Maybe there should be some crossover, some Leatherface X.
Well, I mean, what's her face from the series?
Right.
Is it
Jordana
Brewster? I wasn't sure it was Jordan or Jordana. Yeah. So you already have that kind of built in.
Yeah, I think there should be some kind. I think there probably is in the same. Is it the Leatherverse or is it the Fastiverse? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe just a crossover there.
Hell bent for leather.
Well, they very much do just lean on family being an excuse for practically anything. Particularly, like, we'll get into it later, but the very ending, I'm just like, that is just way too far for me to accept as a reality of just like being family. But that's their kind of excuse.
Well, they also throughout a lot of this is family's the problem. Yeah, obviously, like the insane family is presented in the first couple, and then in 3, he's got this self-made family that's all just awful and terrible. But you're still sort of aligned with them, and of course in the remake,
chosen family, as they say.
Exactly, yeah. And Arlie Ermey's that whole family is all crazy in this, but they're like, yeah, but family's cool now. In this one, family's cool.
Right.
As long as you're in the right family, I guess, because that other family's bad, despite also being murderers. Yeah.
I think, are there other, this is the only one with like feuding families, right? Like two different families.
Yeah. They try to do the Hatfield McCoy thing with this.
The leather
exactly.
Versus.
Actually,
they're all evil.
And it's not like this invented that idea, but it reminded me that, and like the corrupt mayor that was actually like a bully. Just, I'm in the Pumpkinhead verse. This is Texas Chainsaw Blood.
I was going to say,
but the mayor is not Roger Clinton, so it's much less exciting. The Sawyers are all there, and a sheriff shows up, and he's like, "Hey, send him out. We want him." And they're like, "You should send him out." And then all these gun-toting rednecks show up. And I was trying to think of a movie where like gun-toting rednecks actually made things better, like in real life. But in movies, Hollyweird makes you want to think it's a bad idea.
Well, there's what's his name in Independence Day who flies the biplane into the spaceship. Yeah, what's his name?
There you
Randy
go.
Quaid.
Randy Quaid. Thank you. I couldn't remember which Quaid it was.
He's doing great these days too.
I haven't heard him in a little while.
Yeah, he's doing. I'm sure he's somewhere being normal.
Did Sheriff Hooper remind you of somebody? Was it? It's Tom Barry's the actor, but God, at first I thought it was somebody else. Oh, I thought it was a young Yaphet Kotto or something.
Yeah, like I thought. Yeah, at first I thought maybe like, oh, did they just cast Ken Free or something? No, it's this guy Tom Barry, who I'm largely unfamiliar with. Although he's in at least 2 Fast and the Furious movies, so we got another crossover there.
Well,
as Agent Bilkins.
Rev up those saws and those engines.
So these rednecks show up and just shoot up the place and throw a Molotov at it, burn it down. One of those rioters, one of those redneck guys, they find the one woman that was in there had escaped with a baby, and she's dying, and he takes the baby from her.
Kicks her in the face, takes the baby.
Probably just killing her, but takes the baby, and then we get and I assumed this was 3D. This was the kind of my reminder before the actual titles came up that this was 3D, is when they do the little they use to death the camera sound effect in this, like just rendering it totally meaningless.
Yes, they do.
As like it's just a signifier. It doesn't have any attachment to anything. But that weird little kind of like tilt the photos do, I think, to try to give them an element of 3D. But I like that effect even without the 3D-ness.
Yeah, I enjoyed, like, it's got the guy holding the leg in the photo.
Yeah,
and like
it coming at you.
Out.
And then we see the title. It's just Texas Chainsaw, which is like written in meat.
Correct.
And then flies at the screen.
That did come out at me. Yeah, that was the first jump scare.
And I wish
title.
Yeah, I wish the movie had that. That's the same levity that was in that moment. That throughout the rest of it. 'Cause like this is why I would love to go back and use the money that subsidize Rob's TV a little bit more and watch the Final Destination 3D ones in 3D, because they're so. It seems like it'd be so ridiculous because they really lean into that gimmick.
Yeah, I do want to say about the stealing the baby. I mean, this could mean this person's a bad person, but hey, free baby. So it's hard to hold that against them if you have an opportunity to have a.
I mean, she was dying anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
we're all dying.
Might as well just put right. I mean, at that point, if she's like on the ground dying, you might as well just hang a free baby sign around the baby's neck and just be like, "Who's going to take care of this baby?"
Marketplace, free baby. I'm dying.
Gently used. Yeah,
free baby. And we're right into the meat slicing. That meat slice was also.
That's our present day jump. So they do make it. I think it's fair to say this movie is present day, as in 2013.
Yeah,
right.
I think so.
Yeah.
So the original movie takes place in 1973. They're making no bones about that. So if that baby is all grown up right now, that makes Heather 40.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's so clearly like 22 in this movie.
They're
just changing when they went to college.
The 70s took place in 1983.
Right.
Or 93, whatever.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then this grocery store where every attractive person, like this grocery store staffed with all attractive young ladies.
Isn't it yours?
Yeah, mostly.
Because the sex pot character, Nikki, played by Tanya Raymond, totally like low cut or like work shirt unbuttoned, and I was like, oh, is that because it's 3D?
that kind of worked.
Was it, Rob?
Kind of worked. It was okay.
Details.
Yeah, it was all right.
No.
She's in Lost. She was Alex Rousseau in Lost.
I have no idea who that character is.
In 21
that name.
21 episodes. Is she the woman that was living on the island and kind of like dirty? And
I think so.
I don't even remember that being a character. Good God.
Look up Google image.
Yeah, I don't.
we watched Lost together.
We did. We watched the last couple episodes. I remember that.
Well, we used to text about it at least.
Yes.
We would live tweet each other.
Yeah. That's when we found out they brought back the Crunchwrap Supreme. We were very excited about that.
That's right. We both saw a commercial for Taco Bell's Crunchwrap Supreme and both independently texted one another almost at the exact same time. The Taco Frisbee is back! Exclamation point. We were very excited.
Yeah.
Still get pretty excited.
Still great. They put a cheese in it now.
Alexandra. What do you guys think of Alexandra Daddario, and what do you remember her from?
Only True Detective.
True Detective. White Lotus.
That's the only thing.
White Lotus, I think, is what I remember.
San Andreas, which is very fitting here because I don't remember what review said it, but whoever was talking about San Andreas, like, you can tell when it gets to a new act because The Rock gets a new form of transportation and Alexandra Daddario loses an item of clothing. And the same thing kind of happens in this. Like, she gets, even though she gets like progressively more powerful and self-assured, she gets like increasingly nude and vulnerable.
She does an all right job in this, I guess.
She's fine.
She's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of. Well, there's a specific moment that I'm sure we'll get to that really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you sell any of that. So
let's fast assemble our other kids
Right.
here. So we've got her boyfriend. I don't know anything about this musician.
Trey Songz.
what you can learn about him isn't good.
No,
and I don't mean
just before. Yeah,
I don't mean his music. He's got a lot of allegations.
Lots of problems.
Oh,
He's not a,
one of those
not a good
guys.
dude.
So you two want to promote him, is what you're saying. You know,
Right.
you want to talk about
the warning signs
your
were there.
fandom.
His first one of some of his early hits were "Mr. Steal Your Girl."
Oh,
the signs
that's where that came
the
from.
Signs were there. The signs were there that he wasn't really a upright
Mhm.
dude. Trey Songz.
I mean, he could just ask nicely.
No, he's
you know,
Mr.
Mr.
Steal
Ask
Your
nicely
Girl.
for your girl.
Right.
Scott Eastwood.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Son of Clint.
Son of Clint, who like his early film roles are in Clint Eastwood movies.
Yeah. He's no Scott Conn.
Mhm.
I'll say that much.
Is he? Is he
It's-
better or
it's
worse
up-
than Scott Conn?
It's
I'm
up
not
to you
sure.
as to whether or not you think that's a compliment.
Huh. He's in The Fate of the Furious as well. So
Oh,
another
that one
tie-in.
stinks.
Okay.
Oh. And then I don't know much about Sean Sipos, who played Daryl.
Who was the hitchhiker?
Daryl.
Who's the hitchhiker? We'll get to
Right.
that.
We've got a
We'll get to that
hitchhiker,
shortly.
and then Nikki Sexpot. So Nikki Sexpot and Heather are friends, and that's how they're bringing these two guys in to the fold. And she gets this letter about like, we got to go. Like, I've got a brand new house in Texas. My grandma died.
Right.
Whoops! I thought I was adopted.
Right. She meets the parents of the year. Her parents are really something.
I will say
Yeah.
that's great casting there because like her mom has like the definitive white trash voice.
So what? We're not good enough for you?
I didn't say that. I just want to know where I came from and who I came from.
Well, we're the ones that raised you, and you were damn lucky, I'd say.
100 packs of those cigarettes that you see ads for outside of gas stations that you've never heard of that are
Right.
just like
brands I don't even know.
good morning or something like you just don't even know what they are.
I like to picture that when it was time for these parents to have the like where babies come from, they were like, well, mommy and a daddy love each other very much. Then a daddy kicks a young woman in the face, and then that's where babies come from.
I mean, that was initially on the back of every Cabbage Patch Kid, but they got rid of that.
Yeah, so she decides that she wants to haul off to Texas because they're in like what, California now, or do they start in Texas? I can't
have
remember.
no idea where
Because they say
are.
something about like going through New Orleans,
Right.
They were going to go to New Orleans to have a kick-ass Halloween, but then they're like, well, I'm going to go to Texas. And a friend's like, we'll come with you because we know this is hard for you.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm bad at geography as it is, but so I have no idea.
They're in America. I can tell you that much.
Were they going to make it go through Texas to New Orleans? I don't.
But that also means that her adopted family used to live in Texas, got her, and then hauled ass off to another state. So
it's called
they're
fleeing
no
the
longer in
charges
Texas.
is what it is. Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, if you've stolen a baby, perhaps you would uproot and go to a different
Although
state where that might
well,
be legal.
you have no
This
proof it was
seems like-
stolen. Maybe they were just borrowing it. Like,
It's hard to believe that anybody in their family would care that they stole a baby. Like they're hiding it from them. But like, it seems like everybody, they're an angry mob. Their whole family's just an angry mob. I don't know that they'd really give a shit.
Well,
Right.
I mean, that's all the more reason to because it's a Sawyer baby
Well, they do want to kill the Sawyer babies.
because the
Right.
Sawyers who are good except for Leatherface, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So this van is classic low road trip movie,
Mhm.
Which they got. They introduced this other guy who's kind of pointless. It's like Ryan, her boyfriend's friend,
right.
Kenny, who's like played by a store brand Culkin. Like
I said I wrote down a Kieran Culkin one.
Yeah.
Like vibes of a Kieran. He didn't seem like it later, but this scene, I was like, oh, that guy wants to be.
Well, he's Canadian, so I'm like, oh, well, it's one of the, it's like their version of that over there.
That's
But
Kenny?
yeah.
He doesn't even have a picture on IMDb. It's
Karim, but he's done
Maliki Sanchez.
done a bunch of stuff, and I think he might have written his own Wikipedia page, but I don't know. But he's a busy actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
73 things, but it's always weird when they don't have a pick on IMDb.
He doesn't need it, He lets the work speak for itself.
You love him. He's a chef too. He likes to bring that up frequently.
Yeah, his most recent role is in Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood.
Is that a movie or just it's a place where he is?
It's a TV series.
Oh, okay.
It's a TV series. It's a spinoff from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
So they go to check out her.
Well, that's the jump scare. First of all, he gets hit by the van.
Oh,
is the hitchhiker gets hit by the van. Yeah.
Which it just seems like
knocks his shirt open.
It seems like he ran at the van. The van seemed to be barely moving. It seemed like maybe he ran full speed.
I think it was a con.
But
it's
Scott Con.
That's part of his MO.
Instead of weirdo hitchhiker, we get hunky hitchhiker in the form of the aforementioned Sean Sippos as Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, shoot, you're kind of headed my direction. And I see that you have snacks. Can I have one? And I'll just hop in.
I want your beef jerky.
And so they're like, yeah,
this
sure.
I can relate. I can relate to him on this level.
Mm-hmm.
Was that jerky in 3D?
I don't know. The 3D was not. I don't think they applied a 3D filter to that.
So they end up getting to the house, and the house is huge.
Oh yeah.
Which is also like, so why do the Sawyers have money now? Like, what happened?
That's weird.
That was it some kind of lawsuit? Like, is it,
It's not like they really covered the popular barbecue angle. I thought maybe they were.
Oh, sure.
I thought this one kind of didn't go into the family business of really tasty barbecue that's made of people. I thought maybe that was going to be this is built on human meat money.
Yeah, but that was kind of a strange twist that they have this amazing house, and it seemed like the way they were shooting it, that you were supposed to kind of get a sense of the depth of it and the size that by virtue of the 3D, not necessarily. I didn't necessarily get it from the scope of just the regular stuff, but I was thinking after seeing the guy's toe, I started being on the lookout for more 3D stuff.
The house is so nice, which is so unlike. Yeah, that really is super detour from these other movies.
Well, and just from what we've already seen, it's just okay. I guess they're rich now, and it's this huge house, and they're all looking around and seeing how cool it is. And
the pool table.
What's
that old lady doing with that pool table?
I don't know.
I mean, I was also just initially I had forgotten that the house burned down, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the original Texas house. She really did some work on this place. And it just took me a half a second to be like, oh no, they must have built this on top of the Indian burial ground / burned down Sawyer mansion.
Yeah.
Right. So to get this new place.
Too nice.
Her lawyer is like, well, here's this comically oversized key on this giant key ring and this letter that you should totally read.
You need to read this letter.
But I'm not going to bother to make sure that you do. Just totally read it.
Hey, I used to go for my birthday every year to the vacation house with 10, 15 friends to celebrate my birthday. The last thing we're going to do is read an old lawyer note. You're running around exploring the place, finding where you're going to hang out that night. I get it. Well, so
I don't quite understand why Farnsworth couldn't just tell her.
Oh, don't go in the basement. There's a giant hulking, chainsaw murderer down there
from the movie.
There's so much strange about this that we'll get into, but
Farnsworth though,
Farnsworth is great.
I do like
guy.
Richard Riel. I remember him from Office Space.
Yes,
that was it.
And he's in Casino, and he's also the father of Deuce Bigelow, the male Bigelow. So.
Of course, obviously, and in Adventures of the Naked Umbrella,
not that we all know
and love.
He's in 418 things.
Good God,
that guy! You've seen him. He's in everything that's ever been made.
I want to say he was
awesome.
I think he's in some Coen Brothers joints, in a tiny, tiny role.
I think you might be right. I fell asleep while scrolling.
Yeah, it's because it's huge. Because it's so many.
You need a nap just like him.
That's right.
But
he's in a lot.
They're just we spend some time with them looking around, and she goes back to the behind the house where all these graves are, and are looking at the graves.
Oh, and we learn at some point the code to the door, by the way, is 0819, which
0819,
is, Chekhov's date.
Werner was big on security. 0819. Best to remember it as a date.
Oh, is it? Is it really?
Yeah.
Hint. But yeah, those tombstones are pretty cool. There's still an open grave.
Right. Yeah. Freshly,
there's an open grave
freshly
back there.
dug. And then they're like, well, let's go get some food let's have a nice big dinner in this nice huge house. We'll just leave the guy that we just met behind. And he, of course, starts casing the joint.
He seems nice. Well, I don't understand his plan either. Is he just going to walk out into the woods? What is he going to do?
He's going to go have a nice dinner with some squirrels.
Going to go sell these to some squirrels. He's going to sell these plates.
Well, I really love what he's stealing.
Right.
like candlesticks, silver platters. Right. It's just like what you think that you can get money for in like 1942 or something, like.
Yeah. What you don't know is he's got a time machine to Victorian England and he's going to clean up.
No,
right.
What you don't know is that he gets quite the tax write-off when he donates all that shit to Goodwill.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. A nice tax
higher
dodge.
level. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I guess grandma doesn't have like high-end stereo equipment or something like that that you would, but he doesn't even like look for a jewelry box or something.
Yeah, the big money items. There's not platters.
Well, that raises a question that I didn't think of till just now. That spoils a reveal later, but her body's just in a room somewhere. Did he just not encounter it, or was he like, "Whoa, not that room"?
Wishes too. That was part of her wishes. Must have been part of her wishes as well.
Guess.
Like, don't move me.
Yeah,
don't move me. I want my cousin. Wait, what's her relation to Daddario?
Granddaughter
to move me. Right. Sorry. Thank you.
I couldn't help but reading like I mentioned that Dana Ockby's it's like it's very smart and academic, and then I look at my notes, and my first note is, what if she had a yellow hat and mustache and was Alexandra Daddario?
That's good.
Take that.
But yeah, she didn't put that in her fucking paper.
Let's get that fan art. Get that fan art, Hurties.
Please.
Get out there, the hurt. We want to see that. Come on, you guys. Creative bunch out there. Yeah. First kill is this fella.
Yes.
Happens quickly.
He goes down to the basement, and
God, why is anybody okay with this basement?
Well, we also see people encountering the basement 3 or 4 times too. It's just like, I know you can do it like twice maybe, but like the slow reveal of the extra rooms in this just got a little tedious to me after a while.
Well, it's like going back to the first one, you get like you kind of gradually explore the house with each new character that enters into it. Mm-hmm. This is just the same people going to the same basement.
Yeah.
And it's, or, new people just going to the same exact spot, and it's a lot less interesting.
Right.
But yeah, he gets taken down by, he opens the big metal door that apparently Leatherface lives behind.
Right.
And Leatherface comes out and gets him.
The hammer kill's good. It was like a little jump scare for me with the depth. Then we're in town.
Yes.
Yeah. Sheriff cooks a lot, and Mayor McSleaze.
Yeah. And like a 12-year-old cop.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess that's...
Boy, I wonder if he's going to be related to the mayor. I wonder.
Right. He looks about son's age.
Yeah.
This to me is where they just started. Everybody in town knows the old Carson place. That's what she keeps saying. So everybody is just like, oh, this is happening at the old Carson place. Don't go out to the old Carson place. So the community is not forgotten.
Yeah, like Mayor Sleazy threatens to buy, or offers to buy the place from her. She doesn't need it, but she's like, no, I'm good. I just got this giant house.
Oh yeah.
And they take off and to discover that the crummy hitchhiker has stolen from them.
At first, I thought he was being funny, like, well, I'll just buy it. I'll just give it to me. Like, I thought he was like trying to be charming or funny, like. But how much do you think that house is too expensive for that guy?
He has a rival beef business.
Yeah, he's not in it for the money, though. He's in it for the power.
Yeah, I mean, I guess angry mob pays well. Angry mobbing.
Angry mobbing.
Well, it's like it's social credit. Like it's like he might not be high on the hog, but he doesn't have to. Probably has never paid for a meal in that town.
That's true.
I'm tired of government being run by big angry mob.
That's true.
That industry has been got their fingers in the pie for too long.
Mm-hmm. Just that guy and Jay Johnston.
Well, 4 years ago they did pretty well.
Yeah.
Did they? Yeah, I suppose. I don't know how well they did.
But they get back, and I like she's upset about getting robbed for like 5 minutes, and then they're immediately just like on the porch drinking.
So he heisted some ashtrays and candlesticks. That shouldn't keep you from having a good time. Come on.
Cheers, you guys.
Which that's a very sort of 20-something way to deal with that, because
if you see blood on the ground, panic. This is when, like, I don't know where. Again, I'm not sure where this happened exactly, but like the guy sees blood, you don't just brush that off.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Is that when the chef guy does the chef guy see the blood and he goes to the pantry? So we've got our second entrance behind that like fake door.
Yeah, that was a good jump scare there. And he looked like JC Chazé for a minute there. That was the good one.
Oh yeah, because he uses a meat hook and just drags him back down the stairs. That was a pretty decent kill.
And then we have the tequila scene. Oh my God, it's so fucked up. Come to the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to see this. It's so fucked up.
So basically, we talked about in the remake how they really like went out of their way to like Jessica Biel is good and these kind of tired tropes of the final girl, whatever. And they kind of do the same thing here where we've already seen Heather, Alexandra Daddario, having, trying to get frisky with her boyfriend, but they're in a committed relationship, whatever. Whereas, meanwhile, Nikki, her friend, just total sex pot. Mm-hmm. And she and Ryan, Heather's boyfriend, have had a fling before.
Nobody's looking. Listen, it was one time. And I had like 18 kamikazes. Come on.
Come on, you begged for it.
And now I'm begging you to keep your hands off my shit.
Like he's already cheated with her, and so she's thrown herself at him again. And she basically, they just, for characterization of this woman, they just went, what if the mud flap girl was real?
Yeah.
And that's basically it. And she's just thrown herself at Trey Songz and manages to convince him to come to the barn to look at something so fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's building up to this jump scare, and he lifts up this overturned, I don't know, giant pan thing, probably like a thing for horses to drink out of. And it's a bottle of tequila with two shot glasses, which they just came from another place that was just full of booze. So I just like how but I have booze instead of booze.
And she has underwear.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then she decides to get naked, but she is
she lured him out there for others. I don't know, John, if you know this, but she was trying to have some relations out there.
I don't understand that at all.
With this guy.
It made me think of Friday the 13th Part 6, in that like they're like, well, you have to have kills every 3 pages. It was like you had to see this woman in her underwear every like so many pages. It's just kind of like she's like, well, I'm just going to change in the van now because we just need to get people to look at this.
Spice up the scene. Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's terrible. And then I think they start to have sex.
They start to have sex.
Right.
I thought and then wondered if maybe this was so that later she will discover that, and just I thought there would be some resulting drama, and that maybe that's why she's okay with them being slaughtered later. Yeah, like she just seems to be kind of be okay with it. I'm like, well, maybe there was a cut scene in the script where she is over them because they have betrayed her. Like maybe that's why she
but you the audience do. She never finds out, but they just decided that because you the audience know, well, she probably knows.
Yeah, we just got to keep moving.
I guess so.
For that to happen.
But then we have I thought that Leatherface was cutting off his own fingers into a bowl.
That's exactly what I thought at first too.
But it can't be.
No, yeah, it's clearly a different hand.
Right.
But I thought he was he was cutting off his own chainsaw and fingers. I was like, don't you use that for because it's twisted, man, and this is twisted pictures, man.
This is the Castle Freak penis ripoff all over again. This is
yes.
We both saw it, John, so it must have looked weird. I
guess it looked weird, but I took that it was a guy. But my question though was like, why are you upstairs doing this? You have a whole workshop downstairs.
That's true.
With a little Pinterest board and all that stuff. Just stay down there.
Right.
And then the mask is awful. Mm-hmm. It looks like dog poop, wood, beef jerky. Like it's supposed to be
bag.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good mask. I know it's supposed to be old. He hasn't changed it in a while. They also, as we get further into it, the mask is just something cool that he does.
Yeah.
There's no reasoning for it. There's no anything. Like it's even worse than, I think Part 3, they might have like nodded at why he might wear it. Mm-hmm. Not that, as we talked about in the last ones, that I need this explanation of, he's disfigured or whatever, but it's just, no, he just does it. It's just a thing that he does.
I do kind of like knowing that he sews it into his face. Like
that was great.
I kind of liked that. Yeah,
that was great. And I kind of liked how they did that. I could see that working in 3D, where it's kind of, just because against the black, it probably stands out really well.
Right.
But I was confused at first as to why that was happening. It's like, because he wants it to work with his face, to be a part of his face,
expressive.
Sure. And that's fault. But I thought that was a really cool addition, and the fact that they didn't. Unlike the last couple, they went back to, it doesn't matter what he looks like underneath. You get like a little peek of it that he's just like, Leatherface having a beard is a little weird to me, I guess, but it didn't really matter. It's not about that. It's about the mask.
I don't remember which entry had him him for the first time sewing together the mask. And I wondered if, I was like, oh boy, I wonder if the boys are going to hate that they're like giving the origin. It's sort of like the Han Solo, find out why Han Solo's name is Han Solo. Like, are they going to really rip on this? Like, why is he finding out the origins of his mask? I'm glad they never really get too deep into it.
It just seems like it's like, well, I'm done with this one. I gotta do this one. Well, it varies. As we said for the last couple, it's that he just wants to be a hunk. Other ones, it just seems like he goes through them. And this definitely seems more like that he's like, This one's worn out. Time to get a new one.
I like his couple of outfits. I think like he has a couple of good outfit changes in this. Like a cable knit sweater, this red sweater. I thought maybe it was like a Hugh Hefner smoking jacket for a moment.
That would have been cool.
That would be great. Little leather fez he's wearing.
Leather fez. That's
Yeah.
his.
But that face is pretty bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the second one. That's the one he gets off of the cop.
Right.
That just ages in
Oh.
5 seconds.
But this sweatshirt, I'm digging this sweater.
The sweater's nice.
It's nice and cozy. It's
Yeah.
cozy.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like the face that's on the cover. I mean, neither of the ones look like the face from the
Right.
the poster.
And you can't see the blood stains on that one.
That's true.
On the red cable knit. So
That might be why he wears it.
He
Hides that
does-
stuff a little bit better.
when she passes out and she wakes up in his workshop that you were mentioning, and in this sequence, I think we get probably the most gratuitous kill of the movie. So we get a repeat of the meat hook scene, of course, and it's poor chef guy, and then and yeah, he cuts him in half. Short ways, not long ways. Short ways.
Hamburger, not hot dog. Sure.
There you go. Right.
Is this one of the goriest scenes in this franchise? I'm trying to remember if there's anything a little as visceral.
I think it's got to be in the only I'm watching these kind of movies. I'm pretty okay with this kind of stuff, but to me, it's such a funny how far we've come from the original meat hook scene of just throwing somebody on there and walking away. And I still find that so much more disturbing than watching this guy get chainsawed in half.
Well, this also had less of an idea that he was using these to make anything for food or anything like that.
Oh,
it's
sure.
just because when you find out that there's a tray of food outside, that this is just he just kills people, I guess.
Yeah, there's a proper way to chop somebody up if you're going to use them for meat, and this ain't it.
That ain't it. Because those flanks on the side, you're messing those up. That's no good.
What was on his tray? He just had a little
some short ribs or something.
Crudité.
A couple empty yogurt containers, some Go-Gurt,
some string cheese.
And,
maybe a pepperoni stick if it was a meat day.
I mean, you'd think he probably hadn't eaten in a little while because it probably took a little bit to find the recipient of the deed of the house or whatever, the heir. And he's maybe he has a store. He has a little kind of dude fridge down there. It's mostly just full of Coors Light and pizza rolls. But
right when the first guy was trying to open the door, it's nice that he locks himself in. For some reason I thought that he was locked in from the outside, but no, he just locks his door. He likes his privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Leatherface has his own it's his man cave.
He's being true to an agreement where you just have to live down here and act like you don't exist and someone will take care of you. So you leave no trace.
It works better than the tape line they put halfway down the house for at first. They had this,
stay on your side.
Stay on this side.
Yeah.
This works better.
It's too many bones just crossed the center line. So
right.
Yeah, she watches him chop the guy up. She eventually gets out and runs away. He chases her.
Hides in a coffin.
Yeah,
hides in a coffin.
Not a great plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not a great plan.
Not a lot of place to go, and of course, Saw's through it, so you can get the cool Saw coming at the screen.
This is where it really starts to kick in with the coming at you 3D effects. The Saw coming through the coffin. They distract him. They hear this noise, which I think it's funny. A lot of these entries, it's funny how the chainsaw is a stealth weapon. In so many of the earlier movies, all of a sudden he pops out of a closet and the chainsaw is running.
Yes.
I do think that's funny because chainsaws rarely start on the first pull. I guess if he's got some really just high quality chainsaws. I like that they're like, there's a loud commotion. This is an attack. And they come out and distract him and they're shirtless. This is when I thought she was going to see them and be like, you jerks. But no, she doesn't seem to see them at that.
Yeah. But I do love as they're escaping in the van that they're approaching the big iron gate that they specifically told you at the beginning. It opens from the inside. And she's like, just stop. I was like, no, I cannot wait. And he crashes the car into it and it doesn't give because why would it? It's a giant gate.
Well, also when he closes, before that, when he closes the wooden door and they stand there and look at it as if a guy with a chainsaw can't cut through a wooden door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she gets the shotgun and she says,
"Welcome to Texas, motherfucker."
It was a perfect own because this isn't Texas. This is Texas now that I'm here. Right. I made his text, and you can tell it was effective because he had to leave and go think about it.
Right. Right. Well, I was just about to say, though, because she yells, "Welcome to Texas." But again, I don't think they came from Texas. So she can't plant her flag and be like, "Oh, this is the Texas way."
But
when
she
she's
just
from,
did.
Right.
Yeah,
you can just that immediately. You're from Texas.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Welcome to Texas.
So if I buy a gun and somebody tries to come to my house here in Oregon, I can just say, "Welcome to Texas," because any place you threaten somebody with a shotgun is Texas.
Watch this. Hey, Jim, welcome to my podcast. It's mine now.
Yeah.
Zing.
Oh,
this is my podcast now.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
is my podcast now. I'm the host. You can come back next week if you want. If I invite you.
What's my specialty?
2D.
Hosting
2D.
two dimensions.
Right.
Next week, we're reviewing the movie where the train comes at the screen.
Ooh, the first movie.
That is the scariest movie.
That is the first movie.
Especially in 3D.
Yep.
So they end up getting away in the van a little bit. Leatherface saws the tires. They end up tipping over the van at some point, and then
they
Leatherface.
just get their tire pop. They escape. Yay! Oh, but then they flip over because their tire pop.
Right.
Yeah. And Leatherface again saws downward at them, so you get more saw coming at you.
Right.
And then he chases her into this carnival.
Right.
And I love that during that whole the immediate jump of the fence and him sawing at the fence, no one is noticing.
Exactly.
The there's sparks. I don't really care.
Stealth weapon. He's got the silencer on the chainsaw.
Very much a new a new setting for Leatherface too. All these people running around. Yeah.
And we get a ballsy move here.
Uh-huh.
Because out from this House of Horrors comes these kids chased by what's clearly supposed to be an Amanda stand-in from Saw. He's wearing the pig mask, wearing the thing, and Leatherface just comes about, and it's very quick.
Yes.
But he comes at her with a saw, and she's like, "Whoop, feet don't fail me now." And
right.
Which is
she wanted to play a game at the carnival, just somewhere else, please.
Want to play ring top?
So it's a little bit like back off, Jigsaw. There's a new game in town, and it's the old game in town.
Yeah,
I thought it was a nice, respectful nod. I thought it was kind of like, hey, look, we're that. I don't know, paying homage to.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but it's a stunt on him. It's like, no, I'll show you how it's done. I'll show you how real horror works.
This is my horror. This is our horror movie now.
Yeah.
Welcome to horror movie.
Then he chases her to a Ferris wheel, and I swear, because of my stupid fucking cartoon brain, I thought for a split second they were both going to stop and buy tickets.
Yeah,
and she was going to
the team running the ride won't let them on without a ticket.
Yeah. Because it does take 15 minutes to load up,
Yeah, but it's a stupid escape plan because you're just going to go in a circle and end up right back where you started. And he just can just wait.
I know. There seems to be so many places that she could run to. A fair has a large open. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and they kind of allow it later, that because the whole Sawyer family got torched and all this stuff because he let Sally get away. And so he's going to really be on it.
Right.
You have let so many other people get away now.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything, but whatever.
He's simple.
What other carnival rides? I mean, now I'm picturing maybe she should have jumped in the bumper cars instead. And it's Leatherface is chasing her in a bumper car.
That would have been good.
And then she throws a red shell because she's Alexandra Daddario and she's
there you go.
How am I going to win?
Yeah.
If he went up to chainsaw and it would touch the electrified roof.
Oh,
that would be bad.
Just want to see them go in circles, chasing each other again. In the cartoon
or just or in a scrambler, and they keep going by, and he's sawing, and she ducks.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, yellow hat just spinning in the air. Yeah,
this is a Final Destination shit right here.
Yeah, use the the sledgehammer thing to see how high you get the little thing, but use the saw, and that reveals her.
Missed opportunities.
What do you call the game where you squirt water into the clown's mouth and it blows up the balloon?
I know this. The squirt water in the clown's mouth game.
I was gonna say that earlier verbatim, but
and she's just hiding among the clowns,
right?
The clown faces.
Until he actually lands one in her mouth.
This is now a Scooby-Doo. This is a Scooby-Doo music montage. This is good.
But
in 3D.
Then Kid Cop PD shows up, the young Eastwood, and has a standoff with Leatherface, and then they do it, and I'm always a fan of it.
It worked.
Threw the saw at the screen.
Yeah.
Not as effective as Saw 3D, but Texas Chainsaw 3D, it's what's on the tin. They did it.
Yeah.
So I can't be too mad.
Yeah. It was too close to my head. It was so good.
Should have never brought them here.
Look, This town ain't much, but we take care of our own here.
Already, I assumed this guy was going to turn out to be evil. And now I'm like, oh, well, he's gonna take care of his own, all right, because he's gonna be part of this fucked up family, of course.
And then he takes her to the police station, and where she kind of lays out her like, oh, I'm a Sawyer, by the way. That's your next question. I figured that out.
Right.
She gets like they've gotten out all the old case files, and she's looking through them and figures out that she's the baby, and that
she describes Leatherface. She says he was wearing a human face, which I think is a much worse name. Oh, look out! It's human face.
It's human face.
They should have been like, "Are you sure it wasn't leather? Are you sure that he wasn't covered in some sort of leather?"
Yeah.
No,
was it
human
fruit
face, I
leather,
swear.
perhaps?
Fruit Leatherface. Ooh, Fruit Leatherface. That's the new.
Tastiest.
People keep licking me. I have to kill them.
The new Halloween cereal, Fruit Leatherface.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
Oh yeah, to go along with like Count Chocula or Frankenberry, Fruit Leatherface.
I like this.
Yeah.
Hey, Herdies, get on that.
Speaking to any Herd fans that work specifically at General Mills,
Right.
Yeah, get on that.
We only got like 2 months to get this in stores. So
yeah.
chop or saw or
So he is Jed is Jed. He was Jed in the last 2 installments, right? That's what they find out. His name is Jed.
No, his name was Thomas
Jed.
Hewitt in the last couple.
Mm-hmm.
The kid was named Jedediah
In the remake.
Yeah, and so they they've given him a name, Jed, while they're investigating her, or she's at the police station. They send a cop out to the Carson house. Specifically, the cop that was there in the original at the opening is now like sheriff or chief, whatever.
Right, Hooper.
And he's like, "Don't go in there. Wait for backup."
Sheriff, no disrespect, but I think I need to move on this.
That's not your call, officer. Marvin, this is Mayor Harvin. You got your eagle?
You know what extended clip? Just looking for a reason, sir.
Then what the hell are you waiting for? Marvin, stand down. And we believe Jed Sawyer may be alive. That he may be in that house.
Copy that, sir, but chainsaw don't make you bulletproof.
But hey, turn on your cell phone camera so I can watch. So then it becomes like,
please FaceTime me.
Yeah, it's sort of like crosses this line away from Saw, this torture porn era, into, and several have happened at this point, but that found footage thing. So it's like, oh, well, now you're getting a little bit of a found footage. But he goes in, and so you get a he's live streaming. Smash that like button as I explore this my basement react.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Logan Paul did a similar thing. Really.
Oh God. Yeah.
Gee whiz. Yeah.
Yeah. Awful people. Those Pauls.
This we are treated to yet another someone discovering the stairs and walking down behind the little thing. Granted, this time it goes a little bit further, so like it culminates in something nastier.
Well, yeah, but what I love is that, like, he's already like, there's the clear just house of horrors that he's in, but he's like,
ladies makeup. What a fruitcake.
Look at that damn makeup. What a goofball. He's wearing makeup.
Yeah.
What a Fruit Leatherface.
Yeah. Fruity Leatherface.
And then he finds that house of horror, like all the carnage that Leatherface has done, including the other characters' bodies that were killed off screen, like Trey Songz, whatever.
Right.
And then he gets got, but not before his phone cuts out. Well, and the sheriff's like, we got to move on this.
Well, first, though, for some stupid reason that only is horror movie logic, because we know the franchise, the mayor says, hey, what's in that freezer?
Right.
There's no real reason to ever open that freezer in this moment. Like you would pan right past it. But hey, it's a Texas Chainsaw movie. We have to open the freezer.
He's got a
maybe the sheriff was like, I want some popsicles.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's what I thought maybe he would find. That's
and then out pops again, like calling back to the first one. It's Nikki that pops out of there, who he immediately shoots.
Right. Which tracks.
And
I was like, I'm going to give him a little bit of like, okay on that one. I can't believe I'm saying that, but
right. Well, they treat it like Silent Night, Deadly Night when the guy shoots the Santa in the back. That's not the killer. And they're like, Mondays. I know, buddy.
Right.
Hey, why don't you just take 5 minutes and then go about your regular, like, they're just like, don't worry about it.
Well, the mayor even says, hey, it didn't happen. So he's already like covering up in his head.
Just it's fine.
Turn that body cam off, he's saying.
Exactly.
Make sure
right.
By the way, I watched Maniac Cop because of you guys, and I had a friend. I haven't made the shirt yet, but I made a friend of mine made a design that I haven't printed yet that is AMCAB. All Maniac Cops are bastards.
Yes. Yeah, you sent me the working of that. I love that.
I'll show you.
Nice.
I'll send that a little later with the final I'm going to use that, make that for Comic-Con. I don't think there's a huge audience for Maniac Cop fans who also want to like express that sentiment, but
sure.
Well, you're going to find Maniac Cop fans who are like, yes, hooray for Maniac Cop.
Yeah. Those 8 people are out there. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, this cop shoots an innocent woman because of jump scares.
Right.
And then his phone goes out. Doesn't really make sense why all of a sudden he's gone pretty far into the catacombs.
Because it's convenient.
Yeah. His old phones weren't high on the battery life with the FaceTime and a light.
Yeah.
And live streaming or whatever he was doing. So Leatherface coming out of nowhere and hatcheting him in the back was pretty brutal just because it just kept going and going.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think his reaction made it even worse too. Yeah.
I mean, the gore in this movie is something else, but it's not enough to cover up for all the deficiencies elsewhere.
Right. And it's Nicotero's company too. That came back for this one. So it's going to be solid.
Yeah.
But
well, I also like, because I think down here is where you find out that Leatherface has his little Pinterest board, his little vision board.
Right.
You start getting the sense that this is actually a mission of vengeance for him.
It's similar to my board trying to track this series, and it's
and who you need to kill.
You have faces scratched out
of this. Yeah, the continuity of this series. We try to figure out Gunnar Hansen's not tied to these other 5 actors.
It doesn't, like, they throw this in here, and it doesn't make any sense because you've seen him kill no one that's related to whatever this plot is.
Yeah.
And then they just turn this, they just make this turn that's like, oh no, actually this is some like twisted mission of vengeance.
I mean, really, he thinks he's killing home invaders. Like, he thinks these people, he doesn't understand that they've inherited this house. So he just thinks he's standing his ground, which is a big Texas thing.
Right.
I mean, well, that's something in the first one.
Right.
Yeah. Where there's just like, oh crap, what keeps happening? These people keep showing up.
It's not illegal for him to shoot them because they're in his house. Just like it's not illegal for a dog to play basketball.
Nothing in the rule books.
Right. Nothing in the rule books to say you can't slaughter and eat people that enter your house.
That's right.
Right.
Why? So at the same time, she's.
You guys want to come over next week to record live and in person?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
sure. We're off this podcast.
It's coming over here.
It's a coup.
She's also discovering the pictures, seeing her mom and dad. DeWario is seeing her parents in the picture and discovering that and then writing murderer on the pic, which is
right.
That's a weird move.
The idea is supposed to be that this your biological family is a lie. Your found family is a lie. It turns out real family, as we were talking about, like, that's the way to go. But they've done you got a free house. That's great.
Yeah.
You don't know them, and you know that this guy has been trying to kill you. And you can see from the newspaper articles, in fact, they highlight specifically, he killed my brother.
Yes.
Like my paraplegic brother, it even says in the headline.
Right.
Like, that he's just murdering people. And you're like, yeah, but I think he's my guy. He comes with the house, and I like that house.
Right.
I like the house.
Were you bummed when she found out at the beginning that she can't sell the house? Like, wouldn't you be a little bummed? I guess maybe she can Airbnb it. But would you be bummed if you inherited a really cool house that you didn't really want to live in the middle of hot, sweaty Texas, and you're but I can't sell it?
Yeah, I'd immediately see about getting around that.
I mean, I was already thinking, like, with the real estate market as it is, like, would I be okay with a Leatherface in the basement if I got a cool ass house? And it's hard to buy a house in Portland, and I was kind of weighing my options there. But
as long as you were related to him and he didn't hurt you.
There you go.
Well, the thing is, so you find it out, you Airbnb it, not necessarily to the larger market. You just contact MTV, and you're like, great idea, real world, bring it back. But there's a Leatherface in the basement.
Right.
That's good. That's pretty good.
Hidden cameras. There's your found footage too. Like your kind of paranormal activity type of movie. But
this is where the face, he takes his face off, and so is his face onto his face.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great scene. It doesn't make any sense why that guy's face immediately
spoke to him,
like, ages. No. Well, I mean that too, but just like it just like he pickled it in that interim. It's disgusting looking, but he gets a brand new face that he needs for some reason. Well, I mean, that other one was pretty shitty.
How many face? Do you think he continues to sew faces on top of the face, and he's just going to have like 15 layers of face
big,
one
long,
day?
Yeah. I bet he's tried that.
From a script standpoint, it's a real face on a face.
Anyway,
I did it, you guys. All right.
Got it.
But so she meets
Farnsworth.
Yeah.
Going to the bar with Farnsworth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to be wearing the exact same clothes I was wearing earlier. But, I mean, it's the same day. So I guess that's not weird, but it just like the bar they're in is very funny. It's like an Applebee's.
Hasn't she changed into that shirt at this point too that'll conveniently become open?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
So
because
at the sheriff's station, this guy he's like for no reason, hey, change into this shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was she all torn up?
I just had this tube top on me. If you could,
Yeah. She gets a new shirt. She goes to see Farnsworth at the bar, and he says, "Well, didn't you read the letter? Like, no shit.
You had one job." And you didn't do that.
It's just strange to me that he's like, yeah, you have a psychotic killer living in your basement. I didn't want to bring it up in front of your friends. Like, what's the decorum that prevented you from even mentioning that?
Just didn't want to kill the vibe of the weekend.
I guess, yeah.
The will says, "Don't move my dead body. Don't give her the letter, but don't tell her what's up."
Yeah, no bad days.
Leave an open grave.
Yeah,
just leave me where I drop.
Right.
Put me in the chair next to my favorite scotch, just in case I come back.
That's in mine.
For sure. And then she gets hit by a car. She gets hit by the car, which I thought it's the guy from earlier in the city, which is like one of those, like everybody in the town is all related, which sort of happens sort of in a couple, like I think Next Generation had a lot of like.
Yeah, there's a few of these where it's like, oh, it turns out it's everybody and it's really not that interesting.
It's like the John Wick-verse where everybody's an assassin. Like every single person, it's a world of assassins. In this case, it's a city of big mob.
Yeah, waiting to get Leatherface.
At first, I thought it was her dad. For a second, I forgot what her dad looked like, and I thought that this guy.
Oh, sure.
Oh, he's not getting up.
I was like, oh, her dad showed up to hit.
He's not. Yeah, he's not putting on pants to deal with this.
Too many holes in his sock. He can't.
Yeah.
Deputy Pretty Boy takes her.
Yeah, Deputy Pretty Boy. That's when you find out that he's the sheriff's or that he's the mayor's son, and he takes her to the slaughterhouse.
That's another trope of these movies where the final girl realizes that the person she's with is in on the conspiracy.
Yeah,
much like
safe
the
haven
cook.
is not.
Yeah, much like the cook in the first
Too
one.
bad they didn't continue the Illuminati of it all in this. I really wish.
I would have really gone for some Illuminati in this movie.
If they took her to some like Illuminati like special druid,
I would have been.
I honestly would have been like, you know what, fine, you guys, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for. It sort of worked for the Halloween series, right? They had something sort of along those lines, like a.
I mean, work is a word you could use.
Cult or the Cult of Thorn or whatever was it?
Yeah.
And then Maniac Cop too. I mean, right? He comes back.
He gets some voodoo
ritualistic.
Stuff. Yeah, anti-justice. But so then, like, they tie her up, but then Leatherface
shows up.
And he gets a saw.
This. I really wanted. Again, this is in the cartoon version that me and John are putting. He has the montage where they like load up with guns and like shoot.
Love that. Yeah.
But for him, it's the montage is just the 5 seconds of him grabbing a chainsaw and like that's it.
Or repeatedly trying to start it.
Yeah. I mean, he's just
putting gas in it, maybe plugging it in.
In it, some oil, some chain oil.
Yeah.
But he's apparently like, my understanding that the sheriff was basically like leaving her the Clint Eastwood's kid was basically like leaving her for Leatherface. It seemed like that's what was he trying to lure him out? Is that the deal? I didn't really.
Well, they were going to kill her anyway because she knew the secret.
Right.
She uncovered the conspiracy.
Leatherface listened to the radio on it, which was so dumb because like he's walking by the police car and is like, oh, is that you? Is that you, cop that Leatherface just killed? If it is you, we're going to be here at this location. No one else listened to this, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it made me immediately think of send more cops.
Yeah.
But just beyond that, I mean, I don't know if it's worth getting into this or not, but it's just like this Leatherface clearly has a lot more initiative than previous incarnations. And I think it's important to realize this is the Gunnar Hansen Leatherface that we saw in the original. This is the same character. Now he knows like CB radios. He can kind of get around. He's got more initiative, and I feel like that's very, very weird.
Well, they didn't show his library / reading room in
fair enough,
when they were in the
basement. His basement. Yeah, he has had a lot of time.
He was wearing the smoking jacket. Yeah,
maybe he just got into CB radio culture while he was down there.
Watching Convoy.
Just the door. He's got a nice cigar collection. He just sits down there, reads his books. He's got a nice little.
You guys are really selling me being a Leatherface. I mean, that's just if I could sit in my basement and just read all day and have that scotch that you mentioned,
Leatherface,
right?
It's great.
God,
But yeah, Leatherface shows up and she's like, hey, don't kill me. I'm mostly nude and I'm also your cousin.
Right. The shirt opening up was, at least had a plot reason as well as
the a 3D reason.
Yeah. Not just because of the movie having some cleavage. It was also revealed the scar, which I don't know. She thought it was a birthmark.
Yeah.
I don't know, do people mistake scars for birthmarks? I guess it's kind of.
I don't know. She's pretty stupid.
I don't know. I don't want to weigh into that sticky territory.
But maybe she was just told it was a birthmark and just went, oh, okay. But Leatherface, when finding out that she's his cousin, is like, oh, okay, and cuts her down, and then
becomes a hero. This is when he
becomes a hero. Yeah, because those two dudes start whacking on him. She leaves and comes back and is like, well, wait, no, I got to kill these guys, and kills one of them with a pitchfork. Gets the sheriff's attention. Tosses the saw to Leatherface and says,
Do your thing, cuz.
Do your thing, cuz.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
I love what I love is just what a great line that is.
Right.
Yeah.
And also like how she really sold it. There was a lot of like emotion behind it and not just do a series and we'll just pick one.
Yeah.
Oof.
Right.
Ooh,
yeah,
this is supposed to be the big. I mean, already none of this fucking makes sense. That Leatherface is supposed to be a hero now.
Right.
He murdered your friends.
Right.
He murdered all these other people, but some bad stuff happened to him though. So he's one of those twisted anti-heroes. But I'm kind of on his side because I have a house that he lives in.
No,
I like that house. The house is mine.
Her turn doesn't make any sense. I do kind of like a sympathetic Leatherface, which we only have in like number 2, I think, where he's like where he's kind of letting. He's hiding.
Sure.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Stretch. Yeah.
Stretch. Or he's kind of like hiding Stretch from his sadistic family. I do like a sympathetic Leatherface.
I like that
like
more.
A sympathetic Jason, like it happens in some of the others, right?
It does, but I like that more. That like he's like he might be kind of human in that moment, but it's not like this is trying to justify his behavior. That I know
and it does. It fails.
It's not just like he's a horrible murderer, but he loves Stretch.
Right.
He wants to be nice to Stretch. This is like no. It's good that he does this stuff because now that he killed all these people, I guess he'll stop.
Yeah,
like it doesn't.
Even with the sympathetic Leatherface in part 2, to me that was a little bit more of that's he's being that way in the face of his 2 other family members who are like actively being horrible to him in that moment too. This is way too big of a turn for me to even.
It was like I wish that we could understand as an audience that like it was a misunderstanding. He thought they were home invaders, like some sort of narrative reason, and like and DeWario is mad at her friends for cheating, and so she's sort of like it still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, the more we talk about just wanting a house, I mean, I'm I'm kind of on board with the real estate thing.
I mean, that would be an interesting take on this, particularly like now in the worldwide or the nationwide housing crisis.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, what would you put up with?
What would you
to
do
live in this house?
Yeah.
But so then they end up getting the mayor and they drop him into a meat grinder. And it's great. And then the sheriff shows up and was like, clean up this mess.
Right. He does not shoot. He has the shot and he doesn't shoot it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna allow this, but watch yourself, counselor. And
when she has the pitchfork, I thought she should have said something like pitchfork, more like bitchfork, and then she stabs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fork you. Yeah.
Fork you. Yeah.
No, that's not good.
but
also the meat grinder is Chekhov's meat grinder. We introduced it earlier in the scene, and then it's
earlier in the scene. Yes, that's how
that
works.
Chekhov's meat
grinders have different rules than guns. Then she goes home and he's like, "Oh, I guess my job now is taking care of Leatherface, like my grandma did," which is so strange because you have, like, first of all, get him help. Yeah, like get him help. Put him somewhere.
I bet you can still keep the house.
Yeah, I bet you can still keep the house. You can put him in care. The people that might like be able to identify something's wrong with him or whatever.
How far away is Haddonfield?
That's in Illinois, I think.
That's true.
Yeah,
geographically, that's too far.
But it doesn't matter. Yes, whatever. Ship him wherever. And then then it's also that like, wow, girl power. You're a mom. It is just this like, just dude like cook and clean for this guy. Mm-hmm. You've earned it.
Then she opens Chekhov's letter. Chekhov's letter. It was open. It was in the first thing. And
Yep.
then
And
she
it came
opened
out of the meat grinder. That would have been great if actually the sheriff had it when he's in the meat grinder. It pops out of his pocket.
Right.
Like, oh, that's why I left this.
Shreds
and then
open and flutters to her.
Which her grandma was, by the way, was played by Marilyn Burns.
Marilyn Burns, yeah. So this is her fate, and she's now integrated herself into the Sawyer legacy. It's her burden and curse and gift moving forward, and she'll have lots of adventures with Leatherface as we move forward in this new continuity that we're all very excited about.
It's so stupid.
Am I going to watch the next one too? Is
You probably will.
I don't know. Well, I'm curious. I'm kind of curious about the prequel, because the one that follows this again is a prequel. We don't go forward, where it's like, what information do I need about young Leatherface?
Right.
Yeah. Like what I'm not, I mean, like, obviously if we talk about he's a cipher, there's not anything there necessarily. So you have a free palette to kind of, make whatever. I don't want that though.
Yeah.
But do we
really want any movies past 2? Do you really want any?
I mean, really, no. What I'm learning is a hard no on this one. But
it's so weird. This is the story people want to retell over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun.
Yeah.
It's like it's the Bible.
Yeah, they just can't get it right. Because it's also like this was a classic. This wasn't like, it was okay. It's not like people are, keep making blood sport over and over and over again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, I bet I can do a different version of it.
Tale as old as time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but these keep making money. So people really want, does every single one of them make money, I guess?
Because this gets lambasted. This got lambasted by critics and a lot of audiences, but people went to go see it. And
it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not irredeemable.
I will say, first, did y'all watch the after credit sequence?
No, but I do want to talk about the music that plays over the first part.
Okay.
Which I used to listen to, back in my swing days, back in the 90s when I was perfect age for, Cherry Poppin' Daddies. And anyway,
Zeus Will Never Die.
Sure. I listened to Louis Prima is a musical artist, and he has a song with Keely Smith called Closer to the Bone, which is this song over the end credits is a remake of Closer to the Bone, which is a song about, as older songs often are, a problematic topic of, you should date a woman who's thin, whose meat is closer to her bones.
Oh, wow.
But the lyrics really, I don't know which lyrics they changed in this remake. It's like not a new metal. I'm glad it wasn't a new metal remake, but it's close. It's edging on new metal. But the lyrics are closest to the bone, sweeter is the meat. The last slice of Virginia ham is the best that you can eat. But they changed it to Texas. I know that. The last slice of Texas ham. And they're like, don't talk about my baby. She's slender, but she's sweet. Closest to the bone and sweeter is the meat. It's like a cute little song. About a problematic.
About no fat chicks.
There's a line in the second verse. It's like, she'd make a good thermometer if she drank a glass of wine, because she's thin. She'd look like a thermometer. She's built like a garter snake. She climbs up like a vine. My friends tell me I'm a fool to love a girl like that. Here's the reason I like him slim instead of big and fat. That's a lyric. So
wow.
But the rest of it is all about closest to the bone is sweeter than the meat, which would make, again, the song would make more sense if there was cannibalism in it.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest problem with this song.
Yeah.
But check that out. But check that song out. It's pretty funny that it's a remake of a cutesy song from the 50s.
When you sat down to watch this, especially in 3D, and you strapped on your goggles and all that kind of stuff, you didn't have any idea that you were going to be reliving your 90s musical interests.
Yeah. I did have a slight inkling that
right.
Anytime I sit down to do anything, I think I might
relive your this is ska.
Yeah.
The real Big Fish shows up in more things than you'd think.
What's the after credit sequence?
Oh, it's very simple. It's just the adopted parents from the beginning of the movie are walking up to the house to go visit her. And it's implied, of course, that she's going to feed him to Leatherface. I would think, just
I thought maybe they're moving in. They're going to have a big fucked up dinner scene, the other.
Oh, that could
be part of. Maybe they're making that new fucked up family they do in so many of these. But your pick is good.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to believe that. I mean, because the last time we saw her, she was screaming at him, and so I would like to. I kind of feel like they're not really.
But do they know? Do you think they know about Leatherface? Everybody else knows about her. Everybody in the city knows about her being stolen. Mm-hmm. Are they privy to the Leatherface in the basement? The parents?
Probably not. Because I don't think anyone knew that. Honestly, though, how culpable is the mom?
Right.
Because did she really do much?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I don't know. I guess the sequel never happens.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry.
A borrowed baby.
But did she know that he killed that woman to take the baby? Or was he just like, hey, free
She knew
baby?
she knew that they snuck it away. They definitely didn't like tell the city. They didn't tell their fellow mob mates, "Hey guys, we found this baby. We're just gonna keep it." Is that
We
cool?
got
Like, I don't know why
dibs.
right?
Yeah.
Dibs,
Yeah.
But I think it's
keepers.
different to be like, well, look, like one of them died and we protect the baby versus I killed them just to take their baby.
Sure. Killed him with a kick. Well, let's honor our dead real quick. Unnamed Sawyer, shot to death by mob. Unnamed Sawyer 2, shot and burned to death by mob. Unnamed Sawyer 3, shot to death by mob. Boss Sawyer, played by Gunnar Hansen, shot to death by mob. Bear Sawyer, played by David Bell, shot to death by mob. Drayton Sawyer, played by Bill Moseley, shot to death by mob. Unnamed Sawyer 4, shot and burned to death by mob. Grandpa Sawyer, played by John Dugan, shot to death by mob. Loretta Sawyer, played by Jody Brown, shot by mob, kicked by Gavin. Daryl, played by Sean Sippus, head bashed with tenderizer. Kenny, played by Kieran Maliki Sanchez, cut in half at waist with chainsaw. Ryan, played by Trey Songs, head through window in car crash. Nikki, played by Tanya Raymond, stuffed in freezer, accidentally shot by cop. Officer Marvin, played by James McDonald, hacked in the back repeatedly with hatchet. Ollie, played by Richie Montgomery, stabbed with pitchfork. Bert Hartman, played by Paul Ray, hands cut off at wrists, chopped up by Thresher. Bigger body count this time, but I think a lot of it has to do with that opening shootout scene. In fact, I know I do. And so that always makes the kill counts a little bit skewed when you've got these kind of pseudo action scenes, much like the Maniac Cop franchise, instead of just our primary killer taking people out. But yeah, I had a better time talking about this than I did watching it, but I would kind of put this weirdly in the, like, I wish we could have all watched this together, like watch this with friends and beers type of movie.
In 3D. I only have two pairs of 3D glasses.
In 3D. But just like this, I feel like this one, while not a good movie, is kind of like weirdly fun to watch. Like there was enough that I had a good time watching, and I think it would have been even better with a small group of friends. So if you're trying to decide if you want to watch this one or not, dear listeners, I'd say if you get some people together and watch it, it might be worth it.
I only really get mad at movies when they're boring. And this one was a little bit boring, but not too. I wasn't bored for too much of it. I do have a recommendation if you don't want to watch this. I did one other thing to prepare for this podcast, and that was I purchased and downloaded a Texas Chainsaw pinball game on my Nintendo Switch. You can get a Texas Chainsaw pinball. The description says, put on the mask and rev the chainsaw. Leatherface returns to slaughter in pinball form. Aim your shots and use all your skills to take out your victims. One of the most brutal pinball tables ever created. There is a free, like it's on Steam and all the other things. It's called M Pinball, and you can pay for and download different pinball skins, basically different games on your free M Pinball. Anyway, and then I played it, and it is everything. It was pretty fun. The game has it all. It has a hammer as the ball launcher, and there's a hanging meat bag that you tenderize by hitting with the ball and get points for hitting that. And there's a big chainsaw on the board that sometimes bafflingly will like cut down on the ball, and a lot of blood squirts out of this metal ball for some reason. And then the little tiny,
it's a phantasm ball.
Basically,
there you go.
There's a tiny little Leatherface on there that cuts up. I didn't get enough points to have him cut up little tiny people, but I'm pretty sure if I, beat the level that he uses his chainsaw. Look up that as while you're looking up all these songs that I keep recommending. Check out the trailer for Texas Chainsaw Pinball. Pretty fun,
man. I like that.
And so that's that. All that said, the Chainsaw 3 was $3.39, but I had an Amazon credit, so that was free. The Next Generation, I paid $3.59. Pinball was $5.49. The 3D TV was $25, $26 for the Blu-ray player. I'll prorate that. I'll just call it $6.99. 3D Blu-ray disc was $10.49. And then I got a chain. I got the saw is family engraved on my Ryobi 10-inch chainsaw. That was $123. So my invoice for you guys is $149.56. I'll send that.
Well, I'll tell you what, having you on the show is priceless.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
It all works.
Thanks, John. John, do you have anything to plug? This is my podcast.
I'd like to plug this other show called Green Shirt. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good, except for that couple of those people on there. Check out Green Shirt, The Next Generation. It's a newbie's trek through the next generation. John just recorded an episode with us, and so that will be out in like 2 weeks. He did a great job. He's on every season. Come if you're in Milwaukee, come see my retail store, Made in Milwaukee. Or if you're at Comic-Con, look for my shirt nerdery booth.
Milwaukee, Oregon.
That's right, not Wisconsin. No, we're the IE. We're the only Milwaukee with an IE.
There you go.
And there's a shirt nerdery website, isn't there?
There is. I never put any cool shirts on it, but I will put the Maniac Cop shirt up there as soon as I print one. So
please let us know. We'll go ahead. We'll link to your store for
thank you so
Maniac
much. Well,
Cop.
now that I mentioned it, I can write off all these purchases as a business expense.
There you go.
Now this is advertising.
This is now advertising.
Could you get Leatherface for tax evasion? Because he has never paid taxes, but he doesn't really have a job.
Well, in Texas, everything in Texas is fucked anyway. They're just like, he's not really a small businessman. They're always getting tread on over there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't tread on them. Keep your taxes away from them.
All right. Well, there goes my plan to get Leatherface.
What's the next one? The next one
is Leatherface. Yes.
Oh, boy. From 2017.
There are 2 more left.
Oh, sorry, 4 years later.
Yeah.
What do you think they could do to make this series like interesting again? Like they never really take any. They don't take any risks. Like Leatherface in a courtroom. Leatherface goes to Manhattan.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing. Like at this point now, just get like the second one, as we said, like gets silly with it, and then the fourth one just goes super bizarre. And I'd rather see them do that rather than try to fit Leatherface into these emerging genres of horror, or like out of the torture porny era, and now we're kind of into they kind of added some found footage thing here. We'll see what they do with Leatherface.
Is there a world
I would like it to just do either like go full on like grindhouse Hicksploitation style with it, or just send him to space, like whatever.
Is there a world where like something done in the style of the first one in modern times has worked, like where somebody's taken something that odd and done a Tim and Eric style, like not real actors,
right?
Like it's you can't recapture it. Like you can't do that in a modern lens.
It's tough. Yeah.
I think that opportunity is gone. And, I think my guess is that they were like, oh, let's make this as brutal as possible. And that's where we got the remake. From 2003, and I guess that leans into the torture porn of it all. But I just cannot see recreating the lo-fi quality of the first one.
Yeah, without being referencing in some way it existing outside of all the horror that has come from it and the thing itself. I don't know how you get away from all that.
Yeah.
If that's even possible.
The Leatherface versus Jason, Leatherface versus Freddy.
I'd be up for that.
He's not supernatural, but but he's not supernatural as we've discussed.
Right. Sure.
But it's still sure. Why not?
I don't know. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want from this series.
Yeah. So neither do any of the filmmakers, apparently.
Well, they just keep doubling down on the griminess of it and the brutality of it. And I think that they need to kind of let up on that a little bit.
I just hope that in the next entry, that Leatherface has a podcast. That's all I care about.
That would be good. Well,
the Meatcast.
No, he kind of does in 2022, I guess. But in the Netflix one.
No. Oh, good grief! Yeah,
we'll get into that.
All right, Rob. Well, thanks for bringing your 3D knowledge to us with all of your technology. I'm still very, very impressed. I'm not reimbursing you, but I'm very impressed.
Right. Well, it's still cool. Right.
We'll see. My lawyers will get a hold of you.
What other DVDs are available, especially in the horror genre? If one of our listeners was excited to go out and purchase a 3D television,
there are way more 3D DVDs than one would expect. I was looking up like, I want to find the list of 100 3D DVDs that they made before that, but there's way too many to count. Like if you do, there is just quickly browsing. I mean, Final Destination, you've already done. So But like Fright Night has the remake has that. Like My Bloody Valentine is always advertised.
That's a good one, actually.
Piranha has a 3D that.
Oh yeah, 3 double D.
Right.
Excuse me.
There are quite a few. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably a couple more series that you're gonna run into a couple 3D entries.
Oh,
Calling you back for? Yeah.
But there's way more than I expected.
Yeah, any ones that get into the like the 2010s or that the early 2010s will hit some 3D for sure.
Because they also 3D-ized a lot of old movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that post-processing.
Which is probably not exciting, but yeah. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I had a great time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. Come back anytime. It doesn't have to be 3D, but we'll look out for you on any future 3D property.
I'll do any gimmick at all. If you have a movie that's told with a flip book or a movie that's only done.
That's what's next for Leatherface. It's just a flip book, a fun animated series like Beetlejuice.
All right.
All right, everyone. So fire up your copy of Leatherface, the prequel to this movie that we just watched.
Do your thing, cuz.
Yeah, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And until then, you can find us at This May Hurt a Bit Pod on Instagram, Hurt a Bit Pod on YouTube, and you can email us at thismayhurtabitpod@gmail.com. So we will see you next week with Leatherface.
Goodbye, Hurties.
Good night.
Good night.
This has been a Caretaker Press production. It was produced by James Strayer and edited by John C. Myers. Logo by Ethan Kimberling and music by Michael Arthur Holloway, who you can find on Bandcamp. Follow us on Instagram at thismayhurtabitpod and email us at thismayhurtabitpod@gmail.com. Give us a 5-star review over on your favorite podcast app, and we'll see you next time.